Photographs have emerged today of French police apparently making a woman remove some of her clothing while she's on the beach in Nice as part of the controversial banning of the bikini. Several French towns have implemented a ban on the burkini, which covers the body and the head. The French Council of Muslim Faith have said they are seeking an urgent meeting with the government about the ban. Well, let's discuss the ban, which is in fact in place in really quite a few French towns now. Faeeza Vaid joins me. She's the Executive Director of the Muslim Women's Network. She joins me from our, I was going to say from our studios in Birmingham. It looks like you're not in a studio, but anyway, it's very nice to have you with us either way. Thank you very much. I wonder what, well, particularly in light of this latest development, the footage from the beach, what on earth you're thinking about this ban at the moment?
You know, just looking at the imagery of a woman in public being asked to strip off her clothes in front of not only other onlookers, but also 4 armed guards, surely that tells us that this is not okay in 2016 Europe.
And what you've just said has been echoed an awful lot. I mean, certainly within France, and if you look at the issue on social media, I mean, there's an awful lot of people effectively saying what you have just said. So do you have any sense that there is some pressure growing on the government in relation to this policy?
Well, I'm certainly hoping so. I mean, what I was hoping was this would be something that they reconsidered very quickly and actually, you know, didn't continue banning in different parts of France. I guess what I'm most concerned about is that actually what the central to this argument is telling women what they can and can't wear, the control of women's autonomy. You know, this should not be accepted today, but it's actually done under the guise of protection, you know, and there's a number of statements that the Cannes mayor actually made in terms of associating this with protection from Islamists and things like that. But I would actually say that the position that the French are now taking is one of secular extremism, and actually the freedom to choose what you wear is actually part of a fundamental right and protected by laws across the world.
You will know, I'm sure, that those who think the ban is appropriate in France say the reason it exists is because it's an outward display of religious conviction. And they would say it doesn't matter what religion we're talking about, any outward display in public of a religious conviction is not appropriate in a secular society. And the attitude towards secularism is a very core part of French society, perhaps even in a way that it isn't in this country. And they would say that is the point of the ban.
To be honest with you, I'm really glad I don't live in France and I live in Britain, because I'm glad that we don't have that approach in this country. But it is at its core quite nonsensical to suggest that how you dress impacts on behavior to the degree that they are concerned that French Muslim women wearing a burkini on a beach is going to put the country's values at risk. Surely they're not going to be able to do that just by what they're wearing. And so I think this argument about, you know, uniform dress code is firstly outdated, but also does not make sense in terms of what they're trying to achieve more broadly in the country. If what they are trying to achieve is cohesion and integration of minority communities, this is certainly not the way to go about it, because what it does do is further isolate a minority community.
Does this issue have any ramifications in this country, or is this purely a French issue at the moment?
I think it does feed into a wider issue of anti-Muslim sentiment across the world. Particularly, we saw issues after the EU referendum result in this country in terms of the increase in anti-Muslim hate crimes being reported. So I definitely think that it continues to feed in to that sentiment. And actually what we need to do is say that it's not acceptable in Britain, and it's definitely not acceptable in Europe. We're still a part of Europe, and I think we need to be clear that minority citizens will equally be protected as will other citizens, whether they're wearing a headscarf, whether they're wearing a burkini, or whether they're wearing a miniskirt. It does not matter.
Faeeza Vaid from the Muslim Women's Network. We really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us.